When disaster strikes and the power goes out, water stops flowing, and cell towers go dark, the survival gear you don't have becomes painfully obvious. The truth is, you don't need an expensive bunker or military surplus equipment to stay safe during emergencies. You just need 8 specific devices that solve the exact problems that endanger people when systems fail. These aren't flashy or exciting, but they work. They're affordable, and you can order them on Amazon right now before you actually need them. Most folks think they're covered because they bought a couple of those cheap LifeStraw personal filters that you see advertised everywhere. And don't get me wrong, those are better than nothing. But here's what nobody tells you that can get you into serious trouble. Those personal straw filters only work while you're actively drinking through them, which means you can't fill containers with clean water for cooking, you can't provide water for multiple people efficiently, and you absolutely cannot store purified water for later use. And this is where most people's water plans completely fall apart, because during real extended emergencies, you need gallons of clean water every single day, not just sips from a straw when you're thirsty. The LifeStraw Mission is an entirely different category of device because it's a gravity-fed purification system that can process 12 liters of water at once. You literally just fill the bag with water from any source, hang it up, and clean water flows out the bottom into whatever containers you want to fill. And here's what blows my mind about this system. It can purify up to 18,000 liters over its lifetime, which works out to roughly 5 years of drinking water for one person, all from a device that costs less than $70 and weighs only 18 ounces. But here's the thing that makes this absolutely critical for real-world scenarios. During widespread emergencies, water systems fail way more often than electricity because treatment plants shut down, pumps stop working, and even if water is still flowing from your tap, it might be completely contaminated with bacteria and chemicals that will make you violently ill. And when you're dealing with everything else that's going wrong during a crisis, the last thing you need is to be incapacitated by waterborne illness that turns a manageable situation into a life-threatening emergency. The Mission system lets you safely use water from rivers, lakes, rain collection, or even questionable tap water, converting any water source into safe drinking water without burning through expensive replacement filters every few days, like those smaller systems do. While everyone else is running out to buy those cheap power banks that might charge your phone twice before they're completely dead, let me tell you something about portable power that changes everything. Most people think they're prepared because they grabbed a couple of 10,000 milliamp hour battery banks that cost $20 each. But here's what nobody tells you about those things. They're designed for topping off your phone between charges during normal daily life, not for actually powering your essential devices for days or weeks during extended outages when there's no electricity anywhere and you have no idea when it's coming back. The Jackery Explorer 240 is a 240 watt-hour lithium power station that weighs just 6.6 pounds, but can charge your phone up to 24 times, run a small refrigerator for several hours, power LED lights for days on end, or operate crucial medical devices like CPAP machines for multiple nights. And here's the absolute game changer about this specific device. It has multiple output options including AC outlets, USB-A ports, USB-C ports, and a 12-volt car outlet, which means you can power basically anything you own without needing different adapters or worrying about whether your devices are compatible. But here's where this gets incredibly powerful for real survival scenarios. You can recharge the Jackery from a wall outlet, obviously, but you can also charge it from your car while you're driving. Or more importantly, you can pair it with a 60-watt solar panel that lets you generate completely independent power even during extended grid failures when there's no electricity available anywhere. And this is absolutely critical because most battery solutions are one-time use, meaning once they're drained, you're done until power comes back. Whereas with solar charging capability, you've got genuinely renewable power that can sustain you indefinitely as long as the sun is shining. The psychological impact of having power during blackouts is something people consistently underestimate until they've actually experienced extended outages. Being able to charge your phone to stay connected with family, having lights after dark so you're not sitting in complete darkness, and being able to power a small fan during summer heat. or an electric blanket during winter cold makes the absolute difference between barely surviving and maintaining actual quality of life during disruptions. And when you're dealing with all the stress and uncertainty that comes with emergencies, maintaining your comfort and normalcy becomes incredibly important for keeping your mental state stable and your decision-making sharp. Here's something most folks never consider about power stations. The Jackery 240 is specifically sized to be affordable and portable, but it's also expandable because Jackery makes larger models in the same series, and if you start with the 240 and later realize you need more capacity, you can add a bigger unit to your setup rather than having wasted money on something too small or having overinvested in something massive that you never actually needed. And at around $200, this is legitimately one of the best investments you can make in genuine preparedness capability that you'll use constantly, even during normal times for camping, outdoor events, or just having backup power available when you need it. This is where most people's preparedness planning takes a completely wrong turn because they focus entirely on survival gear for dealing with problems after they've already happened, but they completely ignore the tools that let you see problems coming before they arrive at your doorstep. And let me tell you something that's going to sound crazy until you actually think about it. During widespread disruptions, the ability to see what's happening around you without getting close enough to be seen or put yourself in danger becomes absolutely critical for making smart decisions about when to stay put, when to move, and when to avoid certain areas entirely. The Vortex Diamondback HD binoculars give you 10x magnification with high-definition optical clarity, which means you can observe situations from 500 to 1,000 yards away and see details clearly enough to assess whether something is actually dangerous or just concerning. And here's what nobody tells you about having quality optics during emergencies. Being able to see what's happening at roadblocks, checkpoints, or supply distribution points before you get there lets you avoid dangerous situations entirely, which is infinitely better than walking into something bad and then having to extract yourself when you're already in danger. But here's the thing that makes quality binoculars specifically important compared to cheap ones. Low-end binoculars give you blurry, dark images that are basically useless during the dawn and dusk hours when visibility is already limited, but you most need to see what's happening around you. Whereas the Vortex Diamondback uses high-definition glass with excellent light transmission, which means you can actually see useful details in low-light conditions when cheaper optics just show you dark, blurry shapes that don't tell you anything actionable. And during emergencies, most of the significant movement and activity happens during those twilight hours when people think they're harder to observe, making quality low-light optics incredibly valuable. These binoculars are waterproof, fog-proof, and built to survive rough handling, which matters tremendously because during emergencies, you're not going to be treating your gear gently or storing it in protective cases between uses. You need equipment that can get dropped, banged around, and used in terrible weather without failing when you absolutely need it to work. And this is where it gets interesting from a security standpoint. Having binoculars doesn't make you paranoid or antisocial. It makes you smart because knowing what's happening in your neighborhood or along your potential evacuation routes gives you dramatically better situational awareness for making decisions that keep you and your family safe. Here's something that catches people completely off guard. During extended disruptions, official information becomes unreliable or just stops entirely, meaning your own observations become your primary intelligence source for understanding what's actually happening versus what you're being told. And when you're making decisions about whether to stay home, whether to go out for supplies, or whether to evacuate entirely, having first-hand visual information about actual conditions rather than relying on rumors or outdated reports can literally mean the difference between making smart choices and walking into dangerous situations that could have been avoided. At around $180, these binoculars give you surveillance capability that dramatically improves your safety and decision-making during any kind of disruption, and they're also incredibly useful during normal times for birdwatching, sporting events, or any situation where you want to see distant details clearly. cell phones have made most people completely forget that communication was actually possible before cellular networks existed, and this is where families get into serious trouble during emergencies because they have absolutely no way to coordinate with each other once cell towers go down or become completely overwhelmed. And let me tell you something that's going to change how you think about communication. Having direct radio contact with your family members or neighbors doesn't require any infrastructure, doesn't depend on power grids, and can't be shut down by overloaded systems or government controls. The Midland GXT1000 VP4 is a set of 4 two-way radios with up to 36-mile range in optimal conditions, though realistically you're looking at 2 to 5 miles in urban environments and maybe 10 to 15 miles in rural areas depending on terrain and obstacles. But here's what nobody tells you about why these specific radios matter compared to the cheap ones people usually buy. These operate on GMRS frequencies, which are significantly more powerful than the FRS frequencies that cheaper radios use, and they include 50 channels with 142 privacy codes, which means you can find clear channels and communicate without random people listening to every word you say. And here's the thing that makes these absolutely critical during real emergencies. When cell networks fail, most families have zero way to communicate if members are separated, meaning parents don't know if their kids are safe. Household members can't coordinate supply runs, and neighbors can't share critical information about local conditions or threats. Having these radios means you can maintain contact within your local area even when every other communication system is completely down. And that capability alone is worth way more than the $70 these cost, because the psychological relief of knowing your family is okay and being able to coordinate your actions makes crisis situations infinitely more manageable. But here's where this gets incredibly powerful from a practical standpoint. These radios can run on rechargeable battery packs or regular AA batteries, giving you multiple power options depending on your situation and access to recharging capability. And they include features like NOAA weather alerts that automatically notify you when severe weather or emergency broadcasts are transmitted, which provides crucial information when you don't have internet access or functioning TV service. The weatherproof construction means they work in rain, snow, or harsh conditions, and the built-in LED flashlight on each unit adds an emergency lighting option that could be important if someone gets separated in darkness. Here's something most folks never consider about two-way radios. During neighborhood security situations or coordinated supply runs, having instant communication without relying on cell phones that might not work dramatically improves your group's effectiveness and safety, because you can alert each other to problems, coordinate responses, and maintain contact without any delay or dependency on failing infrastructure. And when you're working with neighbors to establish security watches or organize resource sharing, having dedicated communication devices rather than hoping everyone's phone works creates a reliable communication network that functions independently of systems that might fail exactly when you need them most. Most people think they're covered for cooking because they bought a little butane camping stove with a couple of fuel canisters, and then they're absolutely shocked when those canisters run out after 3 or 4 days, and they suddenly realize they have no way to cook food or boil water for sterilization. And let me tell you something that's going to blow your mind about cooking during extended emergencies. Fuel flexibility matters way more than how fancy your stove is, because during disruptions, you can't just run to the store for specific fuel canisters that might not be available anywhere. The Coleman Dual Fuel Camping Stove runs on either Coleman liquid fuel or regular unleaded gasoline, which means you can fuel it from gas cans stored in your garage, siphon fuel from vehicles, or use the standard camping fuel that's available at virtually every outdoor store and many gas stations. And here's what nobody tells you about why this specific capability is absolutely critical. During extended emergencies, specialized camping fuels often sell out immediately or become completely unavailable, but gasoline is almost always accessible somewhere because it's used for vehicles, generators, and countless other applications that make it a priority supply item. But here's the thing that makes this stove specifically valuable compared to cheaper alternatives. It has 2 burners that put out 10,000 BTUs each, which means you can actually cook real meals efficiently rather than spending an hour trying to heat up a can of beans on some tiny backpacking stove that's designed for minimal fuel consumption rather than practical, everyday cooking. And the wind baffles and adjustable burners let you control heat precisely, meaning you can simmer delicate foods or blast things at high heat depending on what you're cooking, just like a regular kitchen stove. Here's where this gets interesting from a real-world survival standpoint. Being able to cook proper meals rather than eating cold food or barely heated rations makes an absolutely massive difference in morale, nutrition, and your psychological well-being during extended disruptions. Hot food provides comfort and normalcy when everything else feels chaotic and wrong, and the ability to prepare meals that actually taste good rather than choking down survival rations keeps your spirits up and your body properly nourished when you're dealing with elevated stress and potentially increased physical demands. And this is absolutely critical because maintaining good morale and nutrition directly impacts your decision-making ability, physical capability, and mental resilience when you're facing ongoing challenges. The stove weighs about 11 pounds and packs down into a relatively compact carrying case, making it portable enough for evacuation situations while still being substantial enough to use as your primary cooking method for extended periods. And at around $80, this is one of those investments that you'll use constantly, even during normal times for camping, outdoor cooking, or backup cooking capability when your kitchen appliances fail, meaning you're not spending money on single-purpose emergency gear that sits unused for years. Here's something that catches people completely off guard about cooking capability. During power outages, your electric or gas stove might not work. If you have electronic ignition, your microwave obviously won't function. And even if you have a gas stove with standing pilot lights, the gas supply might be shut off for safety reasons during certain emergencies. Having a completely independent cooking system that doesn't rely on any utility services or electrical power means you can maintain normal meal preparation regardless of what's failing around you. Most people grab whatever flashlights are cheap at checkout counters and think they're covered for lighting during outages. And then they discover that flashlights are absolutely terrible for area lighting because they create harsh directional beams that destroy your night vision, require constant repositioning, and force someone to hold them if you need both hands free for actually doing anything useful. And let me tell you something about lighting during emergencies that changes everything. The quality and type of light you have dramatically affects your ability to function, your psychological state, and your practical capability for maintaining normal activities during disruptions. The Atexity Portable Camping Lantern provides 360-degree ambient light with adjustable brightness from 30 to 140 lumens, which creates comfortable illumination without harsh shadows or the blinding glare that ruins your night adaptation when you need to maintain vision for security awareness. And here's what nobody tells you about why this specific design matters compared to regular flashlights. Area lighting lets multiple people work together, provides light for entire rooms rather than narrow beams, and creates a psychologically normal environment that reduces the stress and discomfort of sitting in complete darkness for hours every night. But here's the thing that makes these particular lanterns incredibly practical for real survival situations. They're collapsible, waterproof, and extremely lightweight at just 12 ounces, but they can run for up to 12 hours on high brightness or over 30 hours on lower settings using just 3 AA batteries. And they have magnets built into the base and hanging hooks on top, which means you can attach them to metal surfaces, hang them from tents or ceilings, or just set them on tables without worrying about them tipping over in darkness when you can't see where you're placing things. Here's where this gets incredibly valuable from a practical standpoint. Having proper area lighting means you can continue doing normal activities like cooking, reading, playing games, or working on tasks that require both hands and decent visibility instead of sitting motionless in darkness waiting for morning. And this is absolutely critical for maintaining mental health and normal routines during extended outages, because humans are not psychologically equipped to sit in complete darkness for 12 to 14 hours every night, and the stress of that darkness compounds all the other stresses you're already dealing with during emergencies. At around $25 for a 2-pack, these lanterns give you redundant lighting capability with incredibly low investment, and having multiple light sources matters tremendously because you need lighting in multiple rooms. You want backup if one fails, and being able to give each family member their own light source provides independence and comfort when people need to move around after dark. Here's something most folks never consider about emergency lighting. The color, temperature, and quality of light affects your circadian rhythms and sleep patterns, and having soft, warm light rather than harsh blue-white LEDs helps you maintain more normal sleep schedules during disruptions when everything else in your routine has been thrown off. These lanterns provide comfortable illumination that doesn't disrupt your natural rhythms as severely as harsh flashlight beams or cold LED panels. While that big gravity system I mentioned earlier is fantastic for home use and filtering large quantities, let me tell you something about portability and backup systems that catches most people completely unprepared. You need personal water filtration capability that you can carry in a pocket, throw in a vehicle, or grab during evacuations when weight and space are absolutely critical constraints, and you can't haul around big systems no matter how effective they are. The Sawyer Mini weighs just 2 ounces but filters up to 100,000 gallons over its lifetime, removing 99% of bacteria like E. coli and Salmonella, and 99.9999% of protozoa like Giardia and Cryptosporidium that cause severe illness from contaminated water. And here's what nobody tells you about why having this specific backup matters, even if you have other filtration systems. During evacuations, family separations, or situations where you need to move quickly and travel light, having tiny filtration devices that provide genuine water safety without adding bulk or weight means every family member can have personal water security regardless of circumstances. But here's the thing that makes this absolutely critical for real-world scenarios. The Sawyer Mini comes with a squeeze pouch, but it also has standard threads that fit directly onto disposable water bottles, bladder hoses, and even in line with hydration packs, giving you incredible flexibility for how you use it, depending on your situation and available containers. And you can also use it as a straw to drink directly from water sources, or you can back flush it in the field using the included cleaning syringe to maintain flow rate when it gets clogged, meaning you're not dependent on special cleaning procedures or replacement parts. Here's where this gets incredibly powerful from a practical standpoint. At around $22, you can afford to put one of these in every vehicle, every backpack, every emergency kit, and give one to every family member, creating redundant water filtration capability across all your potential scenarios without spending hundreds of dollars. And this redundancy matters tremendously because water is the absolute most critical survival need, and having multiple filtration options means that if one system fails, breaks, or is inaccessible when you need it, you've still got backup capability that keeps you alive and healthy. And this is where it gets interesting from a psychological angle. Knowing that every member of your family has personal water security, regardless of what happens or whether you're together, creates this incredible peace of mind that reduces panic and allows better decision-making during emergencies. Parents don't have to worry as much about separated kids during evacuations. Individuals can move independently without creating water supply problems. And you've got distributed capability rather than single points of failure that could leave you completely without water safety if something goes wrong with your primary system. Most people think emergency radios are outdated technology from their grandparents' era, and this is where they make a potentially fatal mistake because they're assuming cell phones and internet will continue working when literally every major disaster proves that assumption wrong within hours. And let me tell you something that's going to change how you think about information during emergencies. When communication infrastructure fails, radio broadcasting often continues operating because stations have backup power, mobile transmission capability, and redundant systems that keep them functional when everything else goes dark. The Kaito KA500 is a 5-way powered emergency radio that receives AM, FM, shortwave, and no AA weather bands, giving you access to local news, emergency broadcasts, weather alerts, and international information from multiple sources when you have no other way to know what's happening in the world around you. And here's what nobody tells you about why this specific device matters compared to basic emergency radios. The 5 power options, including solar panel, hand crank, AC adapter, USB charging, and AA batteries, mean you can keep this radio operational indefinitely, regardless of what power sources are available, making it genuinely independent of infrastructure that might be completely offline. But here's the thing that makes this absolutely critical during extended disruptions. This radio includes a built-in LED flashlight, reading lamp, and SOS beacon, but more importantly, it has a USB output that lets you charge your cell phone or other devices from the radio's internal battery, effectively turning it into a backup power bank that you can recharge through solar or hand crank when there's no electricity available anywhere. And this multifunctionality means you're not carrying separate devices for different functions, reducing weight and complexity while increasing overall capability. Here's where this gets incredibly powerful from a real-world survival standpoint. During emergencies, official information becomes absolutely critical for making decisions about safety, evacuation, supply distribution, and understanding what's actually happening versus rumors and panic that spread through communities when people don't have reliable information. Having shortwave capability specifically matters because you can receive international broadcasts that might provide better information than local stations that could be controlled, censored, or simply offline. And the NOAA weather radio function provides automatic alerts for severe weather, chemical spills, amber alerts, and other emergencies that you need to know about immediately rather than discovering them by accident.